Guys, this is a serious video. I'm a person with a lot of lofty goals, almost unrealistically so, which means that I don't really have a lot of time to do basically anything that is not working on the stuff that I'm passionate about. But there are many times where I do want to take a couple of hours to kick back and just play some games on my own. Playing games without an audience, without people watching over me all the time, without having to put on a show and exaggerate stuff for the camera. So because of that, I thought it was a great idea to catch up on a bunch of Dragon Quest games. And one of the games that I was very curious about was the Dragon Quest Monsters series. I heard it was pretty popular. There's a ton of games in that spin-off series on its own. I knew that it was a Pokemon clone, so it might have been pretty fun to get into. There's that familiarity, right? So, okay, it might be easy to understand it. So I decided to go for the original Dragon Quest Monsters on Game Boy. I was playing it on my Retroid Pocket 2 for a while. And here's where the addiction part comes in, because I simply can't put it down. And here I was working on a video essay for Doom 2016 and talking about how much I love that game. But as far as I'm concerned, that project has been put on hold because I simply can't put this game down for the life of me. I mean, what is this game? What is Dragon Quest Monsters? It's Pokemon, I know. But what makes it so different from Pokemon that I'm just as addicted to this? Well, obviously the Dragon Quest aspect of it, right? All of the monsters with the Pokemon are like slimes and little tree stumps or whatever. You got the Drakis and the demons and the dragons and stuff. All of that is in place. Every single Dragon Quest enemy that you can think of is a Pokemon-esque character that you can catch and have them fight with you. You don't fight one at a time like Pokemon. It's actually a party of 3 creatures. You can go through dungeons and level them up, and they gain a ton of new skills. Every single floor that you go through all of these randomly generated dungeons is almost like a roguelike in a way, where you go through this random stuff, you have a random chance of finding a store or a guy that heals you, random chance of finding NPCs that offer really tough challenges where if you win, they'll restore all of your health and get a ton of experience points and level up your guys by a ton. There's also some Persona stuff in here, almost like a fusion, where you can take 2 different monsters, a male one and a female one, and they can get married and have a kid, right? So there's this egg that you can pay money for to have it hatch faster. And so then that baby that they have is like a fusion of both of those monsters, right? With a set average for both of their stats, and their abilities are very similar. And you can even be very specific over what kind of pedigree you want. So if you have a slime and a golem and you want the baby to be a slime, then you're gonna choose that guy first in the order of how you're going to match up these guys, right? But if you want to be more of a golem, then you're gonna choose the golem first and then the slime and then they fuse, right? So the order in which you choose these guys is actually very important to see what abilities you're gonna get, what stats they're gonna have, their personality and all that stuff. That's another thing. They have personalities, and depending on what options you choose for the battles and stuff, you can actually change it or influence them to do something different. There's some, party members that are rebellious. I know that little tree stump guy that I talked about, he was rebellious, and sometimes he would not listen to anything that I would ever ask him to do. He would just defend himself or attack whoever he wanted. But then there are other personalities like Gullible, right? That will always, do whatever you tell them to, no matter what. There's item management, where you can only have 20 items at a time, and when you run out, you can go to a bank and store all of these items, and even that has limited space. So they're constantly motivating you to keep using all of these items constantly, right? Including beef jerky and ribs, which inspire enemies to come join your side. That's another thing. It's practically impossible to tame any monsters without a ton of luck. Literally every 60-something fights, I would get one guy to want to come and join me, right? Very early on in the game, literally the only monsters that you will ever recruit are essentially the bosses. The bosses are practically obligated to join you after you beat them. But literally all the other monsters, you can fight the same guy 100 times and they're not gonna join you unless you give them stuff like beef jerky and ribs and brisket and stuff like that. And even then, when you look up guides on the internet, they say you gotta give them multiple times on the same battle, beef jerky and ribs and stuff, so that the likelihood of them joining you becomes bigger. And even then, you might come out of that with nothing. But that's okay, right? Because when you go through the dungeons, you're constantly fighting items. You're constantly finding food. You're constantly finding medicinal herbs and, wings for you to be able to return back to the castle. They're always throwing a bunch of resources at you so that you can keep using them because you have a limited amount of space. And as as you walk around the dungeon, you're slowly regenerating your magic points, right? So they're also encouraging you to just keep throwing and spamming magic everywhere and play around with all of these abilities that your monsters have. It's this really interesting loop of go to the castle and do some breeding, exchange items, and then go back into the dungeon, fight some stuff, come back, you know, do your little battle plans, go to your farm and switch out some of your monsters so you can level up some of them. You can't really breed any of them until they're at least level 10. So yeah, it is very much in your best interest for you to find the widest variety of monsters with the widest variety of genders and stuff. I don't know what it is about me, but I have such bad luck where all of my monsters are male, and I think I only have like one female one, and it just sucks. And then the baby is born, and that's male too, so like, And you can change the baby's gender while it's still in the egg. You can talk to some guy that'll change the gender to like female or whatever, but it costs like 200 coins. And 200 coins in this game is a lot of money. So I just get lazy and I'm like, I don't want to spend 200 coins. All right, just let it be born in whatever way. And because I'm playing on an emulator machine like the Retroid Pocket, sometimes I just like, you know, reload my save in the off chance that, you know, maybe the random chance will give me a female monster instead of a male one. I very much need more female representation in Dragon Quest Monsters for Game Boy because it's a sausage fest right now with my party of monsters. But yeah, that's pretty much been my perfect game for me to lie down right before going to bed. I just play that for like 5 hours. And I've been enjoying it a lot, and I mean a lot, especially later on when you beat a bunch of bosses and there's no new dungeons for you to go to, so you have to go and sign up for a tournament. The tournaments that end up being more and more advanced as you go up the ladder, right? They're always matches of 3, and the interesting thing here is that you can't really give your monsters specific directions. You can give them stuff like, oh, charge, or be mixed, or be cautious, you know, be more defensive, be more on the offensive, but you can't specifically say, do this skill and use it on that guy, right? You kind of just have to let your monsters do their own thing. And a lot of these tournament matches, I'm like, you know, literally biting my teeth, nervous, hoping that I win. There's a lot of really BS stuff in this game where like one monster has like that one spell that does like 50 damage on everybody and kills them in 2 turns, and that just pisses me off. That's why the game always says you have to do breeding. The more you breed monsters, the stronger they get. And yes, that is totally true. There are some tournament matches here that are flat out impossible to do without like breeding once or twice or even 3 times deep in, right? So you can get like this ultimate amazing fusion monster of like 6 different monsters' abilities just, you know, shaped up into one, right? Like a Slime Knight plus 3 or whatever, with like the healer stuff and magic user stuff and the strength of a golem, right? It's like the ultimate genetic and engineering game. You can just genetically engineer the most powerful monster ever. And remember, this is just the original first game on the original Game Boy, right? For a game that's on the Game Boy back in like 2001, I think. I can't remember when this game came out, but alongside Pokémon on top of that, you know, when you compare both games, yeah, they're both monster collecting games that you used to fight, but they both work in totally different ways. And with Dragon Quest, it just goes so in depth, right? Pokemon has the big scale, right? It has the big giant region that you can explore and do the gym leader battles. It really feels like a big, large scale quest. But with Dragon Quest, it's significantly lower scale, right? There aren't too many places that you can go to. Just the big village on the tree, which is like your hub world where you have like a store and you can save and all that stuff. And then the dungeons, and a lot of the dungeons look almost exactly the same, but the layout is randomly generated, right? So it's a very small scale, but it makes up for it by having the actual monster catching and the breeding and the tournaments and all that be so in depth. And that's it. I'm just addicted to it. I can't do my Doom 2016 video essay just got completely just whomped because there's a big barrier that's preventing me to work on it because I can't stop freaking playing this goddamn game. And as I said, this is the original Game Boy game, right? Back when it was called Dragon Warrior, not even Dragon Quest. And there's a second game also on Game Boy. As soon as I beat the first one, I'm gonna jump immediately on that second one. And not only that, but there's a bunch of DS games as well. You have like, on GBA, you have like Caravan Heart that works very differently. That's Japan only, but I found an English patch for that game. So, you know, I'm gonna track down a copy of that game and then put the English patch on it. And then on Nintendo DS, you have the Joker series, right? Dragon Quest Monster Joker 1, Joker 2, and then on 3DS, you have Joker 3, which is unfortunately another Japan only game. The only way that you can get that game is to, track down a Japanese copy of it and then to find an English patch on the internet. I know it exists. And then if I'm not mistaken, there were some like remakes of the original Game Boy games that are also on 3DS. I forget, but, and I don't know if you want to include Dragon Quest V as a Dragon Quest Monsters kind of games, and that one is also about taming creatures and having them fight for you and all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to gush about this damn game because I literally cannot stop playing it, and I feel like an idiot for taking so long to start playing this game. I know it's really easy to be all pretentious and different and be like, oh, this is better than Pokemon, but I don't think it's a matter of being, better or worse than anyone. I really don't want to compare it that way. I really love both. I still adore Pokemon, but I am very quickly falling in love with Dragon Quest Monsters as well. So yeah, I had a video essay coming up, but if I just disappear for a while and you guys don't hear anything from me, yeah, it's probably because I'm just addicted playing to this. This game makes me wish that I had played this game growing up, right? I was born in 1994. This game came out in like 2000, 2001, somewhere around there on the original Game Boy. Yeah, I could have very easily bumped into this game and played it with the link cable and had matches with other people. I don't know. Even then, that might have been tough, probably, because, everybody wasn't like on the Pokemon craze at the time, so, yeah. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I'm addicted. Send help. Actually, no, don't send help, because I want to keep playing.